Yes. Hi, hello everyone, and welcome to the first session of the master series. So I am Vishali, and I hope so आप सब लोग ठीक हैं. And so in this first session, as we can see, we will be starting off with number systems. But what exactly do we do in this master series, and why is it helpful to everyone in short? So देखो grade 9 students के लिए it's definitely very helpful because we will be discussing every topic and chapter in detail, and we will be also discussing the exercise also, right? But if you were to look at the GAT aspirants who want to give the general aptitude test, for those also these basics will help you, right? It will help you to build a strong math foundation because grade 8th 9th and 10th में से भी questions आते हैं, right? And any competitive exams you will be giving, this will help you to ace, right? So if you were to first of all look at the topics that we have in grade 9th, जो units है grade 9th में, the first one is number systems, and then we have algebra, coordinate geometry, mensuration and statistics. So we will be covering every chapter one by one, and we will be aiming for instance कुछ topics करेंगे, we will cover some topics and then we will practice exercise on them. So we are starting off with this session from number systems itself. And also let me know in the chat section that what is your answer for a particular question, or if you have any doubts in any query, right? So shall we start off with the session then? So let us look at the aim of today's session. We will be majorly covering three topics as of today, and then at the end, we have a practice exercise. Practice exercise, as in the NCERT exercise questions itself. So, what are the first three topics? Is we will have a reminder that what are the types of numbers and what are the subcategories that we have. And types of numbers, absolutely yes. And then we will have a look at real numbers and rational numbers. And summarizing all of them, we will have a practice exercise. So let us start off with the session then. If I were to introduce to numbers, what exactly it is as per you? We use numbers to count something or measure something, absolutely right. So to measure something, we make use of numbers. And if I want to represent it with the help of a tool, what is it exactly? Yes, with the help of a number line, I can tell you where my particular number goes at, which position, right? So let it be positive numbers, zero, or negative numbers. With the help of a number line, we represent them. That is fine. But what are the different categories of numbers, right? So, what are they? Natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, rational and irrational. And definitely each of these have a unique properties to them. हर किसी के अलग अलग properties होते हैं, and we will just have a look at them one by one, right? So let us start off with the types of numbers as we have just discussed in the previous slide itself, that हमारे पास क्या क्या तरह के numbers होते हैं. Natural, whole, integers, real numbers. And real numbers के सब categories होते हैं. Let it be called as rational and irrational numbers. So what we will be doing is we will discuss in depth that what each topics are, and we will eventually look at the exercise questions as well. So what is natural numbers exactly as per you? Write it in the chat section with me, that if I were to look at the definition of natural numbers, it is something जो one से start होता है and it continues infinitely, right? So let it be from 1, 2, 3, and so on it goes on, and this series will continue. Now, what is the important point is that natural numbers does not have zero in it, right? And what is the symbol that we generally see is capital N. So capital N is something that we make use of to donate the set of natural numbers, right? Now, what about the next whole numbers? So if I'm just expanding, अगर मैं एक number add कर दूं natural numbers में, so what will it be? It will be zero. So whatever we have excluded in the previous set, if I'm including that zero, हमें क्या मिलता है? Whole numbers. So it is what? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on चलता रहेगा, right? And how do I denote this set? It will be capital W. Okay, so previously it was capital N and this will be W. Now let us further expand करते हैं इसको. What is it? Integers. If I am okay, till here I have got 0, 1, 2, 3, but I want to include the negative counterparts also. इसका क्या मतलब है? If I am having 1, 2, 3, so I'll also have -1, -2, and -3. So if I am now understand that this will go infinitely again. Okay. And what is that symbol that we make use of is capital Z. And this is what we call it as integers, right? So while we are moving forward, it's important to understand that how do we distinguish between an integer, a natural number, and a whole number. Because उसी में से questions भी बनते हैं, right? And then the next type of number is very interesting, which is rational numbers. And हम इसको denote करते हैं capital Q से. Okay, so what is it exactly? It is something of the form, if I am able to represent a number in the form of p by q form, fraction, right? जिसमें q is not equal to 0. So then we call this type of number as a rational number. Now, what is important is that let me just read the definition also, that where the numerator and denominator are integers. And very strict rule is that my denominator should not be equal to 0. Okay. So what is the next point is, like as we can see here, that every rational number can be expressed of the form p by q, जो हमने अभी डिस्कस किया है, and q, or also called as the denominator, is never equal to 0, right? Numerator can be 0. There is no restriction over it. But the next point is that there is a relationship between p and q, which is that they should be co-prime to each other. Co-prime as in, I'll give you one example. जैसे हो गया 2/3 or 5/4. So all of these are what? कि इन दोनों numbers के अगर मैं factors देखूं, what are the factors of 2 and 3 and what are the common factors in it? Only one, right? This is the common factor in between your 2 and 3. Hence we say that both of these numbers are co-prime to each other, right? So this is an example of a rational number and how does it look like. And it's always important to remember the basic characteristics of each type of numbers that we have looked so far. जो जो characteristics हमने discuss किए हैं उनको याद रखना बहुत important है. जैसे natural numbers हो गया, whole numbers, integers, rationals, and yeah, rational numbers. So if I were to summarize everything that we have discussed so far in the form of a flow chart, that with the help of this flow chart मैं पूरा summarize कर दूं कि क्या 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 तरह के numbers होते हैं. So we started off with what? We started off with natural numbers, then I discussed whole numbers, integers, and rationals. So it's sort of a branch of numbers when collected together. So real numbers क्या होता है? It's a combination of all. So real numbers is categorized into rational numbers and irrational numbers. So we have just looked at the definition of rational numbers. It is something which can be expressed of the form p by q, जिसमें q मेरा non-zero है. Well and good. But what about irrational numbers? These are the numbers which cannot be expressed as this form itself. As in, I cannot express a number as p by q form. So those are called as irrational numbers. We will explore irrational numbers in the upcoming session in depth. And what we are so far focusing on is this branch that we have looking at in the left hand side, right? So this is the basic summary of the types of numbers that we have, and this forms the important base and foundation for any entrance if you are preparing for the chapter number systems, right? So this is very important. Now if I were to look at the questions, that let us understand and see. Good evening, Akshat. How are you? I hope so you are doing well, right? So if I were to look at the exercise questions of NCERT from the first exercise itself, that what are the questions looking like, and let us attempt them and write your answers in the chat section also. So the first question is saying that is 0 a rational number, yes or no, and can I write it down in the form of p by q, where p and q are integers. So the question itself is asking whether I can express the given number 0 in the form of p by q. तो एक बार देख लेते हैं that if I'm having 0, can I express this as 0 by 1? मैं 0 को 0 by 2 भी लिख सकती हूँ and 0 by 3 और कैसे भी लिख सकते हैं इसको 0 by 100, right? So eventually this number is 0 itself. ये number 0 ही होगा. But what is the definition that I am making use of is I am ensuring that my denominator जो q है in the p by q form, it is non-zero. So this is an important point in my rational numbers. And as we can see, yes, Akshat, you're right. So as we can see that every set of possible outcomes, अगर मैं देखूं तो किसी में भी denominator is not 0. So yes, I can express my 0 as a rational number, right? So this is very important. So even though I was also discussing, while I was discussing the topic rational numbers, वहाँ पे भी हमने देखा था that there is no restriction as such in my numerator that it can be 0, yes, but only restriction was on my denominator. Now let us have a look at the next question, that we need to state whether the following statements are true or false. Now I want everyone to write your answers in the chat section and let me know what's your opinion and take on it. हमने अभी ही सारे टाइप के नंबर्स देखे थे, right? So kindly write your answers in the chat section and let me know. We have 3 parts in this. The first part states that every natural number is a whole number. And what's your take on it? So natural numbers are what? I'm answering for the first one. In the meanwhile, you guys are writing down in the chat section. So it is what? Anything starting from 1 and it continues infinitely. And a whole number is 0, 1, 2, 3. And on a similar line, it is continuing infinitely. Right? Yes. Akshat, absolutely right. So the comments in the chat section is correct. So if I were to look at the set of natural numbers 1, 2, 3, definitely I can find the same set in the series of whole numbers, right? So this is absolutely true that I can say कि मेरा natural number भी whole number होता है. Now coming down to the second part, the second part states that every integer is a whole number. Can I get an example that what is the contradiction that you guys can give in the chat section quickly? That why are we saying that this is false? Any example? So whenever we are saying something is false, we need to give reasons for that also, right? So if I were to look at the set of integers, we are having, for instance, continuing from a negative set of numbers, I'm having -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2 and 3, so on. ऐसे ही चलता रहेगा. Absolutely right, Akshat. So if I were to give an example, for instance, I'm picking -1 from the set of integers. This is not a whole number. Or I can say that negative numbers before 0, they are not whole numbers. Right? So this is a reason for my part 2 that why every integer is not a whole number. Right? Very good. Now part 3. What is an example? What is the example that we would like to give for this one, where we are saying that every rational number is not a whole number? This is also false. Okay. And what is the reason for that? Can we make an example from it? So if I was to say that this is a false statement, let us look at the definition first of all. A rational number is definitely of the form p by q form, where my denominator is not 0. And a whole number is of the form where I am having the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. So can I say that 2 by 3 is a whole number? Yes, very good, Akshat. So as we can see that 2 by 3 is not a whole number because I want something. Definitely whole number is also of the form p by q, but my denominator is 1 always, right? So this is also false, and the reason or the contradictory example that I can give is 2 by 3. So we are done with this question where we are stating whether a given statement is true or false. Now let us look at the next set of questions जो exercise में है हमारे. that we need to find six rational numbers between 3 and 4. Okay, so rational numbers are something of the form p by q, absolutely right. But how do I write six rational numbers in between a given set of two numbers? Right. So generally, what we do is, first of all, we focus on how many rational numbers are being asked. कितने rational numbers पूछे गए हैं? So as we can see that it is 6. So what we do is we add 1 to it. So what is it? It is 7. So whatever number we get, जो भी number हमें मिलता है, we take that number and multiply and divide that same number with the first number itself. So for instance, 3 is the first number. 3 मेरा पहला number है. तो जो पहला set बनेगा मेरा fraction, if I were to say, it will be 21 by 7. And the second set is 4. So again, I'll do the same. I'll multiply and divide 7 in my numerator and denominator with the second number also, जो 4 है मेरा. Right? So this will be 28 by 7. No problem, Akshat. Number systems will definitely be helpful to you in GAT also, or in any entrance exam that you will be giving. But I appreciate that you are in the class. Thank you so much. Right? So these are the two sets of numbers, which is 21 by 7 and 28 by 7. Now what we do is just write the numbers in between. जो numbers in between आते हैं वो हम लिख देंगे. 21 के बाद क्या आता है? 22 by 7. Then we have 23 by 7, 24 by 7, 25 by 7, 26 by 7, and 27 by 7. So these are the six numbers which are rational numbers. Yes, we can see that the denominator is not 0. Absolutely right. And these are the six numbers which lie in between 3 and 4. And this is how we do these type of questions if it comes in the exam. Right? So let us look at the next question, which is find five rational numbers in between 3 by 5 and 4 by 5. So previously what we have seen was that 3 and 4 are sort of integers, right? And we were looking the numbers in between them. But now we have fractional value, or we can say rational number ये है हमारे पास, right? So rational number के बीच में we have to look at five rational numbers. So how do I do that? So the reason is the same. हमें 5 निकालने हैं. So let us add 1 to it. So what is it? 6. So I'll pick the first rational number. I'll multiply and divide with the number that I've got upon adding 1. हमने 1 add किया तो 6 मिला था. So this will be 18 by 30. And similarly, I'll look at the second set of number, which is 4 by 5. We will do the same thing. We'll cross multiply. Cross multiplies and multiply in the numerator and the denominator also. So this number is 24 by 30. Now I have got 18 by 30 and 24 by 30. जो numbers, the numbers which come in between, we have to just write them down, which will be 19 by 30, 20 by 30, 21 by 30, 22 by 30, 23 by 30. And if you were to count also, आपको 5 numbers ही मिलेंगे. 5 rational numbers in between the given two numbers, which is 3 by 5 and 4 by 5. So the steps are the same. So in the first exercise, the questions were based on whether a given statement is true or false, and the other set of questions was to find out 6 or any number, let it be 7 rational numbers also, in between a given set of two numbers, right? So these were the two questions that we have covered and looked at. So this is what the aim of the today's session was. We have looked at the types of numbers that we have, right? The types of numbers that we have. And then we looked at the questions from the exercise, which was the first exercise of NCERT also, and we have covered it, right? So if I were to look at the next session, that what are the topics that we have that we will be covering in the upcoming session, is to look at the decimal expansion of real numbers. What do we understand by rational numbers, and questions based on them. Like I was just mentioning that we will be covering rational numbers in the upcoming session. And what are the operations on real numbers? Real numbers पे हम क्या क्या तरह के operations कर सकते हैं? The obvious ones are addition, subtraction, multiplication also. So that we will have a look at it in the next session. And similarly, we will also practice questions based on them, like we did just now, and like you guys are absolutely answering the questions in the chat section. So we will do it similarly in the upcoming sessions also. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comment section. Let me know that what doubts you guys have, and we will answer it in some time also. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone. It was lovely to take this first session, and let us meet in the coming sessions where we will be covering topics, and we will do all the exercises. So let us meet in the next session then. Thank you so much and take care.